Hello and welcome to my channel Out on a Wander. Today's video is all about Featherstone POW Camp. Officially known as POW Camp 18, the camp was constructed to the south of Haltwhistle. Bordering the South River Tyne, the camp stretches across a mile of Featherstone Park, and it was originally opened in 1944 as a training facility for American troops arriving for the Normandy invasions, and it was affectionately known to the GIs as Death Valley because of its isolated location. After D-Day, the camp was used for several months to hold Italian prisoners of war, but in 1945 it was converted to hold German POWs. German prisoners in England were graded as A, B and C. C is often referred to as Black Nazis. These were deemed the most fervent believers in Hitler's Germany and were sent to Camp 18 for denazification. The denazification programs at Camp 18 were considered to be a huge success, and towards the end of the 1940s, prisoners were allowed to undertake work in the local community. Between 1945 and 1948, Camp 18 housed roughly 25,000 German POWs and was one of the largest POW camps in Britain. At its height, there were 4,000 German officers, including Wehrmacht, Navy, U-boat and Luftwaffe pilots, and 600 German orderlies, all held in 200 huts in 4 compounds. The camp had 3 officer compounds, separated by a death line and surrounded by watchtowers. The 4th compound was for other ranks. Within a year of Lieutenant Colonel Vickers assuming the post of Commandant in July 1945, and with the denazification programs proving such a huge success, that by the end of 1947, the barbed wire fences, the internal camp divisions, watchtowers and Polish guards were all removed. Camp 18 became known as the Camp of Confidence and was commonly regarded as one of the 6 most successful rehabilitation camps in the country. It was said that Featherstone more resembled a university campus than a POW camp. The camp had its own chapel, theatre, library, medical centre, bakery, and it also boasted 3 orchestras plus its own puppet theatre, which entertained various audiences across the north of England. Prisoners in the camp also enjoyed stage plays, radio broadcasts and football matches. Camp 18 also had its own newspaper, Die Zeitung Tyne. Published by German prisoners, the newspaper was printed in Hexham on the presses of the Hexham Courant. Die Zeitung Tyne was uncensored, and in January 1947 a special English edition was produced, describing the harvest festival held by the POWs in Hexham Abbey, and also describing how the barbed wire around the camp was being torn down. Articles also considered the future of Europe, and in the last edition, in March 1948, the camp's interpreter, Captain Herbert Sulzbach, looks forward to the prisoners returning to Germany. I will go into more detail about Sulzbach and his role in the camp's success at the end of this video. Today, what remains of the camp are rows of concrete foundations, a scattering of brick buildings and an old athletics track. From the air it is noted that the site footprint is still discernible, but from ground level the original site plan is difficult to ascertain. This is because as the camp grew, the layout kept changing. This can be seen from the aerial photographs and a site guide, such as in number 13, where the bakery building is not listed, but the bakery store is. I will try to chapter this video as per the site guide, but where there is nothing left but farmland, I will just group these sections into one chapter. Number 1. The camp entrance and guardhouse. With the entrance to the camp being located so close to the South Tyne River, only the left-hand pillar and the steps leading up to the flagpole still remain. From this location, the memorial plaque to Herbert Sulzbach is clearly visible, as are the overgrown steps and flagpole mound. And from this angle, the changing path of the South River Tyne, heading towards the POW camp, can be seen. Number 2. The British lines. This section was identified through the distinctive Y-shaped foundations. On ground level, there is nothing left except for the overgrown concrete base. Number 3, A Compound. For this section, I'm also going to include number 6, the theatre. The theatre and the surrounding huts are long gone, and if it were not for the camp guide and the aerial photographs, you would not think that the farmer's field was once part of the camp. This section is still impressive and worth a walk around, if for no other reason to appreciate the scale of the camp.
Gewisse etwas einer klugen Frau kann man nicht erklären, kennt man nicht genau. Das ist oft nur ein Trick und zeigt sich schon im Blick.
Number 4, B Compound. This section appears to have been turned back into a farmer's field and shows no trace of Camp 18. So I will add number 7, German Camp Administration, and number 8, the Library, into this chapter.
Denn ein bisschen Verstand ist immer charmant bei jeder Liebesstrategie. Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau muss nun mal dabei sein, denn man weiß genau, es zeigt sich im Gesicht. Die erste hat es, die zweite hat es, die dritte, die hat es nicht.
Number 5, C Compound. Once again, this section has been stripped bare, and the only visible trace left is of 2 circles and some straight raised strips, which were only visible from the air. Number 9, the chapel. It's a shame that this site was not retained, because as can be seen from the photographs, this is a very distinctive building. Number 10, the cells. For this chapter, I'm also going to include number 11, the sick bay, and number 12, the chaplain radio station and VIP block, as they are all sited together. According to the site map, this building is the radio station and VIP block, though the windows match those of the cell block next to it. So I'd suspect that both buildings were the cell block and the 2 concrete bases were the radio station and VIP block, and the long strip behind was the sick bay.
Das ist oft nur ein Trick und zeigt sich schon im Blick. Oder aber das gewisse Etwas ist doch nur ein Spiel und sogar die Männer haben das Gefühl, man sieht es im Gesicht, die hat's und die hat es nicht. Doch um ehrlich zu sein, man sieht allgemein, die Schönheit allein tut's nie. Denn ein bisschen Verstand ist immer charmant bei jeder Liebesstrategie. Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau muss nun mal dabei sein, denn man weiß genau, es zeigt sich im Gesicht. Die erste hat es, die zweite hat es, die dritte, die hat es nicht.
From this angle, the cell complex can be clearly seen, as can the chaplain's hut, radio station and VIP block. directly below is the sick bay. On ground level, there is nothing left except for the overgrown concrete base.
Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau kann man nicht erklären, kennt man nicht genau. Das ist oft nur ein Trick und zeigt sich schon.
Number 13, the bakery stores. All that remains of the stores are the 4 concrete posts and a base. What is missing from the site guide is a substantial brick building with 2 chimneys, which I believe was the camp bakery.
Man sieht allgemein, die Schönheit allein tut's nie, denn ein bisschen Verstand ist immer charmant bei jeder Liebesstrategie. Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau muss nun mal dabei sein, denn man weiß genau, es zeigt sich im Gesicht. Die erste hat es, die zweite hat es, die dritte, die hat es nicht.
And from here we can see how close the bakery store is to the bakery. And the bakery from ground level. This building has survived better than some, most likely due to its location being away from the river. Number 14, the motor transport building. This is a large brick building located precariously close to the South Tyne River, and if the riverbank is not shored up, this will be the next building to be lost.
Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau kann man nicht erklären, kennt man nicht genau. Das ist oft nur ein Trick und zeigt sich schon im Blick. Oder aber das gewisse Etwas ist doch nur ein Spiel und sogar die Männer haben das Gefühl, man sieht es im Gesicht. Die hat's und die hat es nicht. Doch um ehrlich zu sein, man sieht allgemein, die Schönheit allein tut's nie. Denn ein bisschen Verstand ist immer charmant bei jeder Liebesstrategie. Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau muss nun mal dabei sein, denn man weiß genau, es zeigt sich im Gesicht. Die erste hat es, die zweite hat es, die dritte, die hat es nicht.
Number 15, the sewage beds. The sewage works located opposite the sports field is quite distinctive and helped as a reference point when mapping this site out. And from this angle, the changing path of the South River Tyne heading towards the POW camp can be seen.
klugen Frau kann man nicht erklären, kennt man.
And finally the sports field, which is overlooked by Featherstone Castle.
Oder aber das gewisse Etwas ist doch nur ein Spiel und sogar die Männer haben das Gefühl, man sieht es im Gesicht, die hat's und die hat es nicht. Doch um ehrlich zu sein, man sieht allgemein, die Schönheit allein tut's nie. Denn ein bisschen Verstand ist immer charmant bei jeder Liebesstrategie. Das gewisse Etwas einer klugen Frau muss nun mal dabei sein, denn man weiß genau, es zeigt sich im Gesicht. Die erste hat es, die zweite hat es, die dritte, die hat es nicht.
This location was the backdrop of many of the group photographs and appears mainly untouched, except for the missing tree from behind the goal. The depressed earth where the running track used to be can still be seen. By 1946, more than 400,000 German prisoners were still being held in Britain, and they carried out up to a fifth of all the country's farm work. Prior to December 1946, there had been an official ban on prisoners fraternising with the local people. That Christmas, many Britons chose to put the past behind them and invited prisoners to spend Christmas Day with them. When release came, the prisoners were given the option to return to Germany or to stay in the UK, and by the end of 1947, 250,000 prisoners of war had been repatriated, while another 24,000, reluctant to return to a defeated and destroyed Germany, decided to stay on in Britain and build a new life. And one such prisoner is shown in the photograph. Third from the left is Erwin Gruber, who stayed on after the war and spent the rest of his life in the Haltwhistle area. And in the summer of 1948, the camp finally closed. Before I end this video, I would like to mention Captain Herbert Sulzbach, who arrived at the camp as an interpreter in January 1946. Captain Sulzbach had fought for Germany in World War I and won 2 Iron Crosses, but as a Jew had emigrated to Britain in the 1930s. When war was declared, he was interned on the Isle of Man as an enemy alien, but was later accepted into the Pioneer Corps and spent most of the war building coastal defences. In 1945, he volunteered to work as an interpreter with German POWs and dedicated himself to working for British and German reconciliation, eventually receiving the OBE and the European Cross of Peace. Captain Sulzbach will be in a small group of people who can claim that they hold the Iron Cross first and second class for bravery, an OBE and the European Cross. Granted British citizenship in 1947, he worked for the German embassy in London, and eventually in 1952 was given back his German nationality, which was taken from him by Hitler. Not many people will have heard of Herbert Sulzbach, but his life story is one that could easily have been turned into a Hollywood movie. Not many Jewish men from that period would have been willing to hold out the hand of friendship to Nazi officers, but men like Sulzbach had the courage to confront evil without hatred, and he was willing to embrace the good in those who wished to change. Many of the several thousand officers who passed through Sulzbach's hands recorded moving tributes to his achievements in re-educating them towards democracy. In 1982, a memorial plaque was installed on the gate. The plaque reads, Here was the entrance to POW Camp 18, where thousands of German officers were held in the years 1945 to 1948. The interpreter since 1946 was Captain Herbert Sulzbach, OBE, who dedicated himself to making this camp a seedbed of British and German reconciliation. Our two nations owe my heartfelt thanks. Captain Herbert Sulzbach died in 1985 and was buried in Hampstead Cemetery alongside his wife Beachten. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one.